Good morning, everyone. I'm super excited because one of my really good friends, Destia, is here to talk to us about sales. Um, the reason why I wanted her to talk to us is because she actually works with my sister now for a really amazing startup company. But I know in the past for 12 years, as she said, she's been doing sales in all different kinds of forms and crushing it. So I felt really inspired to bring her on here and have her speak to us and answer any questions that we all have. I'm super grateful, Destia, that you're here to take some time to talk to us. And also, she's a badass mom of 2 kids. I mean, she does it all. So, just a super inspiring human. And I'm so grateful to have you here, Destia. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, um, I guess what things popped up for you when I asked you to just join us and talk? Is there anything that you wanted to just originally come out and just start mention to us?
Well, at first, I was thinking of the typical kind of sales approaches, and then I said a little prayer to my angels, and I got a whole kind of different thing to share.
Cool.
So, I was the first sort of thing. I wanted to get into one of my jobs that I worked at because it really gets into all of the talking points. So I worked at a company called Home Advisor for 8 years, and it's a huge corporation. And I started in entry level sales, and I got promoted after a year and a half with no management experience at all. So all the other managers had a ton of experience. I was just very, very good at sales. So I got promoted, and I was fortunate enough to actually train my entire sales team by myself from start to finish instead of taking over a 10-year team, which was so awesome because I could train them to be how I wanted them to be. So one of the things when I started in August, and the beginning of the year is the craziest time of year. So we sold leads and marketing to contractors. So they would always say a big objection was, call me at the first of the year, call me at the first of the year. So when I trained my team, I just really drilled into them. I trained them on all the other sales strategies, but I really, really drilled into them that the beginning of the year was going to be absolutely insane. And I just said it over and over and over again. The beginning of the year is going to be so crazy. It's going to be so crazy. It's going to be so crazy. And then I told them, we're going to be the best team in this company. We are going to be the best team in this company. And I said it to them nonstop. And they were probably kind of sick of hearing it, but I just kept saying it over and over and over again. My team had 7 people. Full teams are between 13 and 15. My team had 7 people. And come the first of the year, we broke records that company had been in business for, I think it was 17 years, had never, ever hit before. And we hit it at half capacity. So the number one point I wanted to talk about is belief. So my team didn't know better, so I told them, we're going to be the best team in the company. The first of the year is the craziest time of year. They just believed it. And then, I knew it was going to be crazy, but I didn't know it'd be that crazy. So a good sales week is 40 sales. We hit 72 and then 85 with half capacity. So it was, it was so awesome to just to see that they believed in themselves, they believed in their ability, they believed in what they were selling, and they actually hit those numbers with the belief alone. Because of course, with law of attraction, you believe it, you feel it, you know it's going to happen, and then it happens. So it was such an amazing thing to see. And with you guys, with what you guys are selling something that can change people's lives. So I'm sure all of you guys have some insane belief in your product. And I was thinking about this. I feel like you guys were chosen to share this to help change people's lives. So you guys are sort of this sales vessel to help change people's lives. And so if you just hold on to the belief in what you're selling and to the belief in yourselves, because if you got if you just hold on to that, you remember that, because sales gets tough, and the belief part can be difficult in my years of sales. The belief part is the part that because that your self-talk kicks in, And it's like, oh shoot, you're not going to hit that number, you're not going to get that sale, this is not working out, why am I doing this, or whatever sort of things come up. You just have to work on shutting that down. And so what I've done to keep that belief super high is just every time, because it still comes in, it just comes in less and less, and then I've sort of mastered how to shut that down and quiet that. So I just talk back to it. So I'm like, yeah, whatever, I am going to hit 5 sales, I am going to do this. And then the talk comes in, it's like, no, you're not, it's impossible, you don't have enough time. And I'm like, I'm going to do this, watch me. So I sort of like challenge myself in that. And then it's so helpful because it's, you really do get more and more comfortable. And then in your whole entire life, you master really attracting things into your life, and you just master this whole kind of different level. So it's an amazing sales strategy, but it's an amazing life strategy as well. So that sort of leads me into my next story. So belief is number one. The next story I wanted to go into is so I was a sales manager for 6 years, and it was corporate America, so it kind of just really started eating me alive. So I decided I kept getting nudges from within that I needed to step down to sales. So I was making on average about $200,000 a year, and sales reps make on average about $100,000 a year. And I kept getting this nudge to just step down and be a sales rep. So I talked to my husband, he was all for it. I was pregnant with my second baby, and I decided to step down. So I approached the VP of sales and my director, and everyone told me no. And it wasn't like I was asking, I was like, I'm stepping down. And they didn't want me to step down. They told me I was crazy. Like, what are you thinking? Why would you do this? And every single person that I talked to said the same thing. They're like, why would you ever do something like this? You're making $200,000 a year. Why would you step down to a $100,000 a year position? But my instincts, my intuition was so strong telling me that I needed to do that. And I did it. And that next year I made $289,000. So that part, it's such a cool, I get emotional when I talk about these things, just because it's just so cool, because I lived this corporate America life forever. And then when I started following my belief and my intuitions, like life really started blossoming, and it's been so amazing. So with that, I followed my instincts and my intuition. So that's number 2. So belief is number 1. Sorry, I don't know why I'm sobbing on here. Intuition and instincts is number 2. So we know, that the types of people to approach, the types of people that could join our team and could do so well. We know the things that speak to us and that could help us grow so much and do so many amazing things if we just, really continue to follow that intuition. And what I've noticed is it's almost to the point now where it's so strong. When I was about to do this, had different sales strategies I wanted to share. And then I came up with these things by saying a prayer, and it came to me so strong. And I knew that this was, what I really needed to talk about. So when you follow it and you really just, you believe in it and you follow it and you trust, then it's just, things all fall into place. And you guys are just, you really have. I took my Juice Plus this morning, and Sophia, your mom was saying the other day something about how she used to not be able to eat a certain thing, and she thinks that Juice Plus was what's really helped her. What was that?
I think there were a couple of things, like, was it the greens, like some of the veggies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, that is so amazing. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, these women, you guys change people's lives, and you really help. We were selling leads to contractors. You guys are changing people's bodies and their lives and their minds, and you're just doing some amazing stuff. And I just think you guys are so fortunate to be able to do what you're doing. And the third point that I wanted to kind of lead into is really more of a sales strategy, but stories. So I just told you guys 2 stories to explain 2 selling points. And now you guys hopefully you'll think about a story next time, instead of thinking of, if I just, had a whiteboard and I was like, here's this, and this, all these bullet points, it's much harder to learn that way. But people listen to stories, they get engaged, and they follow that. And there's millions of stories I'm sure you guys hear all day with what your product has done for people. And if if you don't have your own personal story, it's always so helpful to even hold on to somebody else's story and just share that when you're trying to sell something. So it just makes it so much more personalized, and it helps people really learn and understand by stories. And I think stories is probably, for sales strategies, top three for sure. But for you guys, I feel like it's maybe number one, which is why I wanted to share that today. So sorry for the tears. I don't know where that came from.
I was gonna say I was crying too.
Right when I started, I was like, I feel like I want to cry already. I don't even know why. This is so strange.
Well, I just have to say something that I've been able to observe with, and it's going to make me cry now, with you and my sister and Stephanie starting this business. That's they're doing a startup. You know, they're all working their butts off, and their belief is so strong that it inspires me to keep going. And that's part of the reason why I wanted you to come on here too, just because I see you three working as a team, and you guys just have this undeniable, like it's unshakable belief that this business is going to thrive. And I know it will. And in my sister, I've seen her even before you guys were working with her. I mean, for the past 6 years, she has been head down trying to figure out making changes, trying to figure out how business is going to work, because she wants this to thrive so bad, and she knows that it's valuable. And it's just like, that's what's led me into this business, thinking or knowing that I can believe just as much. So yeah, I don't know, it's really cool.
That's so awesome. Yeah, her sister, we sell activity packages to retirement communities, and it was like you startup sales. We didn't know what we were selling. I didn't know what intro I was going to use, what voicemails I was going to use, who to call. And so over the past 6 months, it's just been calling and calling and getting shut down and shut down and shut down and shut down. And so much rejection. And it's really taught me a lot on how to constantly just pick myself back up. So it's because of the belief. So I'm like, no, it's maybe this isn't working, but I'm going to find what will work. I will find it. And then I just keep trying and keep trying. And then a couple months ago, we finally made our first sale. And during this pandemic, we've actually been thriving, and we've been able to help communities that have all these residents are locked in their rooms and they can't see their family or do anything, but we're able to provide them with activities and be able to uplift their spirits and really help them a lot during this time. So it's been a huge blessing.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more about that, like when you get shut down, because I think that I'm sure a lot of us can agree that that's one of the most discouraging things when we're trying to attract team members or customers. If you get a lot of no's, I know that like that's one of the biggest things that kind of diffuses our go. And I know you kind of touched on it, but if you have anything else to say about that.
Absolutely. So when what Nicole and I, Sophia's sister, and I have talked about is the more no's we get, we've actually learned to embrace the no's, where we're like, all right, we have a target of of potential sales between 5 and 10% of the total market, 10% being super high. That's a pretty low number considering, dialing. So if I'm dialing 100 people a day, then maybe I'll get a couple people that are interested, or maybe I won't get anyone who's interested that day. So what I've really just started embracing is when I get a no, I'm like, good, knock that off, 99 more to go, knock that off, 98 more to go. So I'm just welcoming the no's instead of being like, oh, I got shut down again. It's like, oh, cool, I got shut down. Great, I'm getting closer. So it's just a change of perspective. So I'm getting closer to the yeses. So I'm just pushing those guys off to the side. I'm getting closer to the yeses. And then when I do get someone that is interested, I like really celebrate, because that positive reinforcement to myself just helps me keep going. So even if someone doesn't close and they don't end up buying our service, if they're interested, or even if someone says to me like, what you guys sell is so amazing, it's not going to work for me, but I just keep going. You guys are doing great things. Like that stuff just kind of pushes me to just keep going. So embrace the no's, keep moving on to the yeses, and know what you guys are doing could literally, you're changing people's lives, and just keep holding on to your why. Why are you doing this? Why do you believe in the product? And no matter what no's you get, you just keep going and keep holding on to that.
Love that. Does anyone else have questions? Because we were kind of going to open it up to just like a conversation style rest of the time. Hannah?
I always will ask questions.
You look like you had a question.
I always have questions. And Destia, thank you so much. Just what you've shared so far is also so in line with, I think, a lot of the things that we share within this community. And I think it goes to show that, you know, if you're doing direct sales, MLM style structure, or you're an entrepreneur doing sales, working in corporate America, it's the same thing. And I think a lot of the times, and this is leading into my question, a lot of people come into this community and they're like, I don't like sales, I don't do sales. They're very turned off by that word and that industry and that career. And as someone that has been so successful in sales, I mean, what would you say to someone that needs to own it? That really needs to own that sales is not a bad thing. Like you said, it can change lives. But maybe if you've ever had a moment where you've gotten backlash and what you do and how you do it, anything along those lines.
So I would say that if somebody doesn't like sales, they don't like sales because they don't like rejection. So that's really what it boils down to. So it's if somebody doesn't like rejection, that's something on a personal level that would be really amazing to work on, because we get rejected all for our entire lives. There's different things that that happen. And so if you talk about it maybe more on a personal growth level, because I'm sure that the types of people that you all have joined your team are more spiritual. So there's a reason they were brought into your presence, and if they do join the team, it's something that they can work on, that I think everybody needs to work on. And so maybe just asking some questions like, what about sales turns you off, or what about sales makes you uncomfortable? And so just asking questions is huge. And so they'll tell you what scares them. They'll just say, they'll say rejection, because that's really what it is. But then you can also talk about, so asking questions first, and then talking about the positive sides of it, like the spiritual growth, but also talking about how amazing it feels when you do make these sales, when you do join have people join your team, or the positive aspects of what comes out of this, out of your job. And what amazing things. So you're asking their information, why don't you like sales? And then you're countering it with all the positive aspects. So it's almost like a commentary pro and con list. And then they'll hopefully just sort of see all the pros. And if they don't, then they're not meant to be on your team. So I always meant, when I interviewed people and I hired them, and if they backed out or they got another job offer, then they weren't meant for my team. So all you can do is try, share the information, and then if it doesn't work, it's just not right for them. They're not meant to follow the same mission that you guys are following.
So good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's interesting how this is new to me, sales. When I joined with Hannah, I was kind of just like not knowing what I was in for, really. But it's become really fun because of the personal growth aspects of it, like really internalizing, okay, what am I struggling with? Why am I having this blockage? It's usually always me, it's like something inside of me that I have to work on, because realistically, all we're doing is providing a product that could help someone, and that's it. Like, it's not a big massive thing that I'm just like, and I'm backing something that I 600% believe in. So it's always me. It's just kind of funny how that works.
So funny. And I'm sure you've grown so much since you started until now, personally, right?
Yeah, I think I can agree with you. the biggest thing for me has been the belief. And like, I think sales is such a cool outlet to have the life that you want to have. And there's a lot of other jobs that I've had that um, I felt like a number, or I was kind of just doing what everyone else wanted me to do. And being your own boss and having the opportunity to create the life of your dreams, like sales is a really good avenue to do that. I don't know. I haven't found anything else that's come up in my life that has given me this opportunity, you know?
Yeah. I'm sure you guys run into, do you guys run into lack of motivation sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I run into that a lot with, so I work from home most days, and, I'll like want to do a butt workout or, something. I need to make tea again. And then like, whatever. So I notice myself getting distracted sometimes. And I've started setting a schedule, and it's the kind of like mini goals. So I'll do, I want to make 20 dials in 1 hour for my job. So I'm like, okay, I'll make 20 dials in an hour, and then I'll get up and go make some tea. I'll come back and make 20 dials in 1 hour. And if I make 30 dials, then I'll do like a workout or something real quick and then get right back to it. So if setting these mini goals for yourself, for one, helps you stay super motivated. It helps you feel accomplished when you hit these mini goals. You're just hitting mini goals throughout the day. And then you still feel free to do, whatever else. And there's not that guilt of being like, oh, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to today, because you're giving yourself room for error and room for, for time for yourself, but you're also still hitting your mini goals and still getting what you need to get done. So that's been super helpful.
So you just made my job look so easy. Mini goals with us are like reaching out to one person a day.
Oh, that's super easy.
Well, it can't. Well, you're making me realize it is. I sometimes feel like that's hard because it's scary, you know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because now I'm like, all right, I can definitely reach out to one person a day,
Yeah.
at least, maybe even five.
So there's this woman who I did this course through. Do you guys know Mind Valley?
Mm-mm.
No? So it's so amazing. I suggest all of you go check it out. It's a website, and it has every like sort of spiritual course. There are all these like different awesome courses. You can download the guy who runs it, Vishan something, is your sister's super into him. He has like all these amazing books. He's running the top company, and I think he beat out Google for the top places to work. So he's has an amazing company, but I do all these spiritual courses through Mind Valley, and it's an amazing resource. But I did this hypnosis course by Marissa Peer, and she talks about how you talk to yourself and things that you say to yourself. And something that she said that was has been super helpful is like when you're nervous to make that phone call, you're like, okay, I'm making my one phone call today. What are you saying to yourself before you make that phone call? Oh, I'm nervous. What if they say no? Oh, I don't want to do this right now. Oh, this is really hard, or whatever comes in. You turn that around and you say, I'm a fucking badass. I love making these phone calls. I'm so excited to call this person today. And even if you're not, and you tell yourself these things, you start to believe it. So it goes into the belief too, but it's right before that phone call, just give yourself a pep talk, look yourself in the mirror and just tell yourself you're a badass, or just say it to yourself, in your head, or whatever you need to do, but you just counter that, because that sets you up for that phone call. So if you're going into that as like, oh, I'm nervous, you're going to sound nervous. If you go into that like, I'm a super badass, you're going to sound like a badass, and it's going to just make you feel better, more excited to call, and then it's going to make the phone call go so much better.
That's awesome.
For sure.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the times, and you're probably familiar with this, but within what we do, a lot of us are reaching out to family, friends, people that we know. But I think that adds an extra layer of fear that, oh, I don't want to ruin a friendship or create tension with someone that I'm close to. And so honestly, I mean, I think a lot of people that utilize social media or, make connections with people outside of their close-knit circle, you can find a lot of success there. So for you, you're in sales. I'm assuming that you're reaching out to, or like cold calling, a lot of other businesses or people that you might not know already. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So I guess my question would be, knowing the product, kind of knowing how this works in one way or another, how would you recommend to people to maybe get outside of their circle and start connecting with people with this time of COVID? I feel like we're all kind of trying to get creative right now, and this is kind of putting you on the spot, but is there anything that comes to mind that maybe approaches that people could take right now?
Well, I can tell you cold calling is, some people are super intimidated by cold calling. I like cold calling so much more than I would say to approach someone that I know. But there's, if you want to, I can kind of get into some maybe tips on selling to people that you know in a minute, but to selling people you don't know, if they say no, whatever, you don't even know them. It's not like it's like weird at all. I would rather sell cold calling for sure than to someone I know, because you're just reaching out to someone. You share if they want it, they do great. If they don't, whatever, and then you move on. I would say that a lot of people, I'm sure, are on Facebook right now, and they're on Instagram and whatnot. And I've learned actually there's a lot of different groups out there. Like, we sell to retirement communities. There's all sorts of um, um, activity director groups out there on Facebook and whatnot. So we're like, oh, this is awesome. Let's try to connect with some of these groups to share this. For you guys, I'm sure there's wellness groups out there, or exercise groups, or yoga moms, or, whatever else you can find out there. And you can just go in and share. Because I remember someone shared something to me once on Facebook. It was like some gel tabs or something that helped with your health. I don't really know, but something interesting. But I remember somebody shared it, and then they put their link to their site so people could buy it. And a bunch of people were buying it through their site just by posting something on Facebook. So if you do something like that, I'm sure it will really help to, people can just purchase straight through you. Then you can also post on there if somebody, this has been the most amazing job and whatever else, if somebody's also interested in making money while on the pandemic, or while you're out of work, contact me, or whatever the case is. Because, most of people, I think, isn't it 60% of people are out of jobs right now or higher? So you guys can actually provide employment and provide health, which a bunch of people are working out, and really, turning this into a healthy thing. So you can help in both of those aspects. And I would say Facebook, or who knows, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, take a picture, some before and after, or your hand with your magic pills or whatever it is, and post something on Pinterest. There's all sorts, the sky's the limit with that. But I would say the internet for sure.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
I appreciate, I think, just inspiring people to get their wheels turning on some creative solutions, especially with knowing that talking to people you don't know actually can be a lot easier sometimes.
Yeah.
But also intimidating at times. What would you say are your tips for talking to people within your smaller community, your friends, your family? Any tips you have there?
So, with that, I catch myself with my guard up, because I'm like, oh, don't try to get me to join. I don't want to sell, or I'm already so busy. And so Sophia, you had said you handle something so well, and I was like, that was so awesome. What were you asking me? And then you were like, no, I wanted to share it with you or something. What was it?
I think it was this call,
Oh,
because
was it?
I thought that I was gonna have you join the team if I had to come talk to our people, and I was like, no, I actually genuinely am. I mean, you're a customer of mine, anyways, but like either way, it wouldn't have mattered. I think I can't really remember how I worded it, but I think for you, it's just being responding authentically. Like, instead of getting all weird when you thought that I was doing that or whatever, you made it very clear to me that like you'd love to talk, but like you're invested in this other business right now. And I said, absolutely. Like, I just really value you it's like whatever I would say to you normally. I think that's the biggest thing that I've been working on, is like just speaking authentically back, instead of being like a robot or like a as like, or freaking out and like not knowing what to say and making it super awkward, you know?
Yeah. I just thought of something awesome. So in sales, we would do something. I actually tried this a bunch of times, but somebody's going to object like throughout the phone call. Like if you just you bring up the objection before they even have a chance to object. So if you're like, hey, I wanted to share this with you, and you may think that I'm trying to get you to join or whatever else, but really I just wanted to share this with you and have you join in on this to, whatever. Just however you pitch, but you bring the objection before they even have a chance to say it, so it never even gets awkward.
I would love to hear how you say that to your people that you call, or like exactly in context.
So I'll do it with my job. So there's an activity director and an executive director. The executive director is above the activity director, and the number one objection we get is, "This sounds great. Let me talk to my executive director." So I've actually sold to a couple of people that can use their own budget for it. So I'm like, oh, they just are saying, I want to talk to my executive director because they just want to get me off the phone. Smart, but I'm gonna handle that ahead of time. So what I've been doing to them is I share with them, and I do my pitch, my presentation, then I just ask them, what are your thoughts? And then, what are your thoughts on the product? Do you think it's something that would work for you? They're like, yeah, it seems nice. It would help me in this area. And then I go into, well, I'm sure, I'm sure you're going to want to talk to your executive director on this, which is great. I've also had a lot of people that have been able to sign up for a less expensive option with their own budget beforehand. And then if you wanted to move to the more expensive one later, you can absolutely do that and get your executive director's permission. But would the less expensive option be something that would work for you guys, or do you need the supplies or whatever else? So you are bringing it up ahead of time. So I'm trying to think. So are you guys, when you call someone, let's say you're calling someone, are you calling them to have them join in on like a Zoom call, or how do you?
It depends. Like sometimes we work on building relationships with people, especially if they're people that we kind of know. Like we don't just want to throw the product right at them. So we start having a conversation and asking questions and just seeing where it might fit in to be able to like talk about it. And then if they're interested, we usually send them like a video. So usually it's like, would you mind if I sent you this video? This explains the products, or this explains the business. Hannah, do you have anything?
I would say that a lot of the times, because I think the biggest thing that we faced initially was people trying to explain the science and everything. So we utilize tools, so videos, three-way phone calls, or getting on the phone, but utilizing other things to tell the story. And so would you be open, so for an example, let's say I'm talking to a friend of mine that I know is dealing with digestive issues. I'll be like, girl, you've been on my heart. I've been thinking about your poops. And that I was dealing with the same thing, or so-and-so was dealing with the same thing within my community. And I really think that this Juice Plus, these plant powders, could really help you. Would you be open to taking a look at this video, and we can have a conversation about if it aligns with you and if it's something you want to give a go? So really we lean on other forms of information instead of word vomit.
So are you selling, are you starting with selling the product and then selling the joining your team opportunity later? Or?
It depends on the situation. I think a lot of us do like to lead with the business in certain circumstances. I personally like to offer both at the same time. And I'll usually have a tagline of, if you want to learn how to cover the cost of your own product, it's really simple. You don't have to want to build an empire, or you can. So it depends.
Awesome.
I like to intertwine them too. I usually offer both, depending on the person. I mean, if they fit the Abundance Project and our team energy so well, like it's a no-brainer to just offer it, because this business has not just given us another income or like a job, but it's given us like a lot of life, you know, and so we see the value in what joining the team actually means as well. It's much more of a, it's much more than just like a side gig.
Well, so I've been going in when we have two packages. One's $89, one's $240. So I've been kind of like playing around with the more expensive one and the less expensive one and which one is easier to present first. And I like with you guys, um, it may like really just going in if you're uncomfortable or you want to just test this out, but wonder if just going in and just like focusing on selling the product or just talking about the product. And I don't know if that would work for you guys, but you're going in with is an easier in, and then you can, you know, show the other opportunities of, you know, once they're like, oh, this sounds amazing, how much is it? Then you go into, you're getting them on what you're selling, because they have to believe in the product first. So you're selling them on the product, and then you're bringing in, like you had said, Hannah, well, you could get it for free if you know, choose to be a dealer. Is it a dealer?
Representative.
Sounds like drug dealer.
Yeah, or just put you plant pills.
Just got you slinging plant pills. So if you go in maybe as like you're just it may make it more comfortable for you guys too when you're selling, if you're not like, oh, I'm going to sell this person on like what they're going to feel like is a pyramid scheme, even though it's not. You're going in selling your product, and then you're just saying it in a super nonchalant way. You could sign up to sell it. You could build an empire or not, whatever works for you. But if you want to get the Juice Plus on a discount, you would sign up to be your representative or whatever. So you're kind of going in with the less first and then going in with the other opportunity later, instead of it, because people do, it would make it. I signed up for Advocare back in the day. Do you guys know Advocare? So it's the same sort of thing where you get all the, it's terrible products, but you do the same thing where you get a bunch of products for free if you sign up to be your own dealer. And the way that it was presented to me, the girl went in, she sold me Advocare, and then she was like, oh, if you want to get the discounts, you know, you could sign up to be your own representative. You don't have to sell to anybody if you don't want to, or you can, whatever. But if you can get all these products for this much of a discount. And I was like, oh, totally, I'll sign up to be my own representative.
Right.
It was super nonchalant. And then it just made me do it, because it wasn't like, you're not going into this whole spiel of selling this, you know, this whole opportunity. You're just making it really simple. I don't know if that part helped.
Yeah, I think the simplicity is totally where I think as women, we love to overcomplicate things. And just keeping it that simple is really great. And for us, it's, if you join, you basically get paid on your own product. And that's how you start to cover the cost of your product. We're not like a buyer's club or anything like that. But I mean, I think something that we've really focused on is creating unique opportunities to introduce people to the community. And that's not just the team, but also the community of people that take the product. So we have monthly resets with tons of value where you get to know the people and you get to hear stories, and you realize that, and I'm sure you can relate to this, but the emotional connection that people have to Juice Plus is what encourages them to take it for decades and decades a lot of the time. And of course, some people, that emotional connection is just the fact that they had great poops for the first time in their life. So that's been an interesting thing for me to observe, is just the emotional connection that is so powerful. And I imagine that you've had a similar experience, but with storytelling, as you were saying. And I guess my other question is, when you go, how do you go into storytelling when you're working to sell these packages?
You know, it's because I didn't really have many stories before, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna hold on to some of these stories. And so someone would say, man, it's been so hard. I'm having to bring, this is during the pandemic, I'm having to bring so many, all of our 110 residents, we're having to bring 3 meals a day up to their rooms. And I'm having to do that part because, you know, and I'm the activity director, I'm not the meal prepper, you know, but she's like, these activity directors are having to do all of these things, and they're having to do more one-on-ones where they could do group activities before. So their plates are super, super full. So I would just hold on to certain things. And then when presenting to another community, I would say, you know, I talked to another activity director that said she's doing these different things. Are you doing all these new tasks as well? Gosh, that may be so hard for you. how are you feeling? My gosh, I bet you're exhausted. Well, I'm so happy they have someone that cares so much like you. They're so lucky. With these other communities, we've actually been able to help take their workload off their plate and be able to take something that typically takes them 15 to 20 hours a week completely off their plates so that they can spend more time with their residents. And so you can actually take a breather if you needed to, instead of being so stressed out. Would that help you? Would that work out for you?
That's
Just,
that, yep. That's so awesome. And what we would call that, guys, is like, what's in it for you? So before you get on the phone with someone, thinking about them, what does their life look like? Maybe what are their pain points, and what are some solutions you've seen in the past that you can apply to that person? Just taking a few minutes and thinking about that, especially because we're lucky enough to usually know the person we're talking to ahead of time. We can use that to our advantage, and yeah, really hit home on those pain points and how it can be a solution for them. It's awesome.
and all you have to do to remember that, instead of thinking like, oh gosh, I've got to go into this phone call and focus on all these pain points and like, oh, start to feel overwhelmed. Just think before your call, what can I do to help this person? What, and then that's all. You just think about the whole phone call. What can I do to help? And then you ask questions. You find out why you just really questions, any kind of questions that just come up, just let it flow naturally, but have a few questions that come up with, I always come up with 3 questions that I want to ask on every phone call. And usually I go into 1 or 2, and then it kind of segues into some other questions, or I just ask all 3 questions and then I kind of move on to the presentation. But if you just have 3 solid questions, do you guys have questions that you suggest to ask?
Yes.
Cool.
It's usually just understanding where their health's at, what they're struggling with, and
Yeah.
building a genuine relationship. And I think a lot of the people we attract into this community are gifted at having conversations. They're nurturers. They want to see where they can help. And I think getting back to that can be a roadblock. You get into this and you have all these strategies that you're learning within the business, but really, like, if you take all of that down and just be yourself, like Sophia said at the beginning of the call, you know what to ask. You'll be guided, and at the same time, just focus on how you know this helps people. It's kind of like the mindset that we drop into.
Yeah. And not everyone can do what you guys are doing. And so you want to just weed out people that aren't a good fit and just find the right ones, and just keep believing in yourselves, and just really embrace the objection, believe in yourself, keep doing what you're doing, know that you're awesome and that you're going to help so many people, and then remind yourself before your call that you're super badass, and ask yourself how you can help others, and you'll be totally good.
Do you have the same like 3 questions you ask everyone?
Yeah, it kind of evolves sometimes, but usually these people are closed off to me too at first. And so if I just, I've like, your sister was laughing at me the other day because I called someone and she's like, oh, that sounded like a really good call. And I'm like, really? That person was so not interested. And she was like, just like, oh, this person's calling me. And just but the way that I handled it was the same that I would handle it with somebody who was interested. So, you just keep being super nice and genuine the whole time. And people can't be mean or super shut off to somebody who's just continuously super nice. So, wait, what was your question? I got off. Oh, three same questions. So I usually go into what do I ask him? So how many residents are at your community? How many staff under you? And are you the one who plans the activities? And do you love the planning aspect of activities? And then like asking a question that, sort of like, I ask a couple questions where I need the info, and then I ask a question that lets them kind of, go into whatever. Like when I ask them, do you like planning the activities? Usually they're like, yes, I love it. That's why I'm in this job. And then I'm like, oh, that's so like, how amazing. Because some activity directors don't like the planning and they're obviously in the wrong job, but you're not. So that's perfect for you. And how long have you been doing this for? And, whatever else kind of comes up. It's just, you want to just think of information gathering questions for your own sake, because it's almost like you just kind of, you're holding on to that. Like, so if someone, you're asking them what, I, have these amazing plant pills that have done like really helped change people's lives. Are there any aspects of your health that you think could use improving? What are those? Something like that. And then you like are you holding that in the back of your head, and then you're asking a question that kind of leads them into something else. And then you can go back to that later. Well, since you said, when you're going into your presentation, since you said you have intestinal issues, you're constantly bloated, you have whatever else. We've heard of, these things have cured that for me and cured that for other people and whatever else you want to say, but you're using their information that you asked from the first couple of questions later in your presentation. So you don't have to write it down. If you want to, you can, but it's usually you just remember those things and you ask the question that sort of leads them down, whatever path, and then you do your presentation and then bring their answers into that presentation. So you're making your presentation more personalized rather than just having the same presentation for everyone. Was that confusing?
No?
Awesome.
No?
It's like guiding them through a conversation,
Yeah. And it happens naturally. It's not something that you need to practice or just do. You just have, the intention of, I'm going to ask these certain questions, and just, even if you guys come up with like, these are the 3 most badass questions, let's, use these ones and see where this goes. And then, just kind of let the conversation flow naturally, like you said.
I like that a lot. I had something that I was going to say and then it left my brain. Man. I was going to say, I think that's why we encourage people to just start conversations, because that conversation, if you have Juice Plus in the back of your mind, but you also have that person in mind, that conversation will lead itself to the products. Like, it's interesting because for me, when I'm starting conversations, usually most people are dealing with a health issue, and a lot of people don't like their jobs or are feeling like, or lost their jobs this year, and so to get to those 2 points is really not that difficult, because you just ask how someone's doing, right? Like, how have you been? How's this year been for you? What have you been up to? What are you doing for work? Most of the time I'll get like a health response, like, oh, I've actually been dealing with this, or I'm feeling a lot better. And like, oh, great. What have you been doing? Like, so yeah, we definitely encourage people to just start conversations. But my thing is with cold market. So you're really inspiring me to hit the cold market, because my whole business is warm market. Like, my customers and team members, it's all people that I know. And I felt really comfortable like talking to people about this, because I know that I just want to help everyone that I love. And so it's been great. But thinking about cold market terrifies me. And it's so funny because, like you said, you don't know the people. So it's even less scary. But for me, I've literally been putting it off. Like, it's the thing I'm procrastinating on, even though I know the next thing that I need to do to keep growing my business. And it's just so funny how that is coming up for me. And like, that maybe it's obviously showing an area that I need to work on. Like, maybe I'm just not comfortable with people I don't know. I don't really know. It's strange.
It's so funny because selling to people that I know would terrify me at first, just, and then I'd have to have a conversation, then I'd be good to go. But you guys are, the cold calling it's just in your head that you think that it's scary, So once you just do it, the whole Nike thing is like such an amazing motto. Is like, isn't it that motivation doesn't come until you start? Like, you have to actually start and then you become motivated. You can't just like be motivated until you actually start. So if you just do it, like, be like, I'm going to call and be open. Like, I'm going to get, people may hang up on me. They may reject me. And then you know, these things could happen. So if they happen, you're not surprised, so just like prepare yourself for what could possibly happen. And then your fears will go away. Like, if you ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen to me right now in this situation? Someone may hang up on me. Someone might say, why are you calling me? I'm not interested. Do you know the person? You have no idea who that person is. Who cares? You know, that's like, they don't know you. It doesn't matter. So just share it and just don't let it roll off your back. And the more you do it, the more it will roll off your back. But that takes that self-talk, you know, or your self-dialogue to pump yourself up before you call. And then after, if you're like, oh my God, I'm so scared, that person just hung up on me, you have a conversation again, like, so who cares? Do I know them? No. Okay, I'm going to do this again. And then it just becomes easier and easier.
Totally. I mean, it's like when we start the business, it's scary to reach out to anyone at all. Like the first 5 people were terrifying to me, and I would kept saying, just rip the Band-Aid, just rip the Band-Aid, just keep ripping the Band-Aids. And eventually it became comfortable and a lot easier to start talking to people. And now I'm not scared to talk about it at all. Well, in this warm market field, which is very big for me because it's like a large network to begin with. So that's really cool. But yeah, now it's like, oh, these are bigger Band-Aids, and now I got to really rip them.
I think you'll
But
rip for a few and then be fine with it though.
yeah, and then be like, oh, that wasn't that bad actually, because you always realize that afterwards. You're like, oh, that did not kill me.
Made into a nice big story in my head.
Yeah. There's this other guy that I'm doing a course on through Mind Valley now, and he was talking about how he knew he had to make YouTube videos, but he was afraid of people watching him make videos, and that was a big fear of his. So he's like, okay, this is my number one fear. What am I going to do to conquer this fear? And he went to Las Vegas, and he was like in the Bellagio and all these other places with a selfie stick making videos, and like, talk about a way to conquer your fear. And now he's like, no fear at all. He's in his backyard. There's a pool party next door, and, you know, he's like making a video. So you just like, what is your fear is cold calling? Do it today. Just
I'm going to.
do it.
Go old school.
Yes. And I thought of something else that I wanted to just talk about, one last quick thing. So Stephanie, who works with Sophia and I on this company, she sells Arbonne, and she had sent me a text just saying, hey, do you think you can invite some of your friends to this Facebook thing and whatever else? So she sent me what she wanted me to send people, and I was like, I am not sending that to my friends. There's like, it was something that came from higher up, and it was something like join her, what was it? It was just saying like join her for this, I get points for something, my friend's gonna do a meeting. I don't know. It was like so vague. And I'm like, I'm not sending this to my friends, because my friends are gonna be like, well, what the hell is this? You know? So if you like, just, how would you want someone to approach you? Like, what could you say to someone that wouldn't sound salesy? Because salesy is the number one way to turn somebody off. And you guys have to be especially careful in what you're doing, because you're selling to people you know. And if you sound salesy with people you know, the guard goes up like instantly. So it just, what were you going to say, Sophia?
Well, I think that's my struggle with cold market, is when random people reach out to me, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, that's random. I don't even know this person. And they're like offering me a job or some like powder pills, like plant powder,
So then that's where you bring that objection up before they even say anything. So I know you're probably like, who's this strange person calling me, trying to offer me a job and some pills or something? But really, I'm selling something that's so life-changing and transformational that I want to share it with so many people. And I'm just contacting some random people that I don't know in case you guys don't know about it, because it's literally transformational. And I just wanted to share it with you. If you don't want it, cool. If you do, great.
That's
so you just shut that down. But just remember the salesy part, like you just talk to them like they're your friend. You're cold calling a stranger. You bring that up. You're probably nervous about this, but I'm just sharing this with you. And then you talk to your friends like, hey, I sell this amazing product that has changed lives. It's so freaking awesome. It's made me so healthy and happy and changed my mood. And I just wanted to share it with you to see if you think it would help you as much as it helped me. And if you don't want it, whatever. If you want it, great. Do you want to hear more about it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Super casual all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's reminding me of a guest speaker that we had. She's an NMD. She came to talk to us on team call one day, and we asked her how she did her business. She was in New York. She literally just went into yoga studios and Pilates studios, and like NMD is basically like getting to the CEO of Juice Plus. Like that's kind of the level. And at that point, you're doing really well. So it's just kind of funny because this is exactly what she did. She literally just went cold market, just went out there, put herself out there, and built this big business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sky is the limit for you guys. And you could do, if you believe you can, you will. So you just set your mini goals, hit them, celebrate them, and you'll get to wherever you believe you will. For sure.
Destia, that was awesome. I'm super fired up. I'm ready to go cold market today.
Yeah.
It gives me the flutters thinking about it. I'm just gonna do it.
But tell yourself those butterflies you're excited. You're not scared, you're just excited. Even if you are scared, you just are so excited.
Yeah. And I love that every no is a step to the yes. And that's a really cool way to think about it too.
Yeah. I went over like 100 million different things. So I hope at least you guys took maybe 50%. Each of you took 50%.
Yeah. I'm glad we recorded
recording.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Reference back whenever you want.
Awesome.
You guys are great. And I am so honored to have been able to do this. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Destia. That was amazing. We're so happy to have you.
Well, you guys have a good day. Cold call away.
Bye, guys. Thank you, Destia.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.